carries, they focus the supports. What do you think that each team will do?
I think in this matchup you focus on the supports. The supports for both teams tend to enable what the cores want to do in this matchup. They're both all the core players in this matchup are incredibly flexible. They play a lot of different things. So focus on the supports that enable a certain play style.
Okay, well, draft has begun. No big shock to see the Lifestealer banned out.
So
number one, it's becoming the most popular ban, certainly at the main event.
OG first pick, MVP on Dire.
Yeah.
So Earth Spirit, like we talked about, very contested, so being banned out right away.
And you expect to see probably the IO banned here?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe,
really
yeah. They might give it away, yeah, the
OG,
Slaughter.
okay, so they get the Slaughter and an MVP, ban the IO.
So they're gonna ban most likely the IO here, unless they're getting a trade of a Slaughter, which they're not gonna get.
Yeah.
So Beastmaster's open. Doom and Bounty Hunter have been like ignored in a lot of the games in
They
the last
have. We
few
saw
series.
a fifth pick after ban.
Oh, they're leaving the IO open.
Bounty in the last game as well. Okay, so OG will go with the IO.
No surprise there.
That's very strange though that they banned the Void.
Might suggest they've got something planned.
Yeah,
Specific?
it might. Because it's not very common to actually ban Void here in the first
Bounty
phase.
jug opening.
It's very punishing of dives, and Phoenix will be diving, so.
Yeah, maybe. Like they don't want a big AoE controller, but Tide could also do the same thing.
Void can also disrupt your cooldowns. You saw in the last game that MVP was really good about using their spells whenever they're up, and then time dilation totally screws all of that up.
But the other thing about the Void is like he's one of the few offlaners. If you try to roam a lot and you don't focus on shutting him down, he can actually get so much farm from the offlane. So maybe that could be the reason. But it's still strange to me that they actually removed the Void here. And their opening is quite standard for MVP playstyle. Bounty, Jug, heroes that can fight very early, roam around, make tempo. They are very good in the lane.
And Jug in the hands of OG is a hero they pick very often, allows them to do push strats, and also he's hard to gank in the lane, especially if you have a bounty hunter.
So are you saying this is a block pick?
It's a mix of both. I'm sure they're happy to play it, but it's also a really nice block pick against OG.
It's like a very flexible pick for MVP because they do run Jug mid. So you're not very sure whether the Jug is a safe lane carry, mid hero. It's still open for MVP here. And for OG, they have like a very classic opening. IO and Beastmaster, arguably two of the best and most influential heroes in the game right now. You have a lot of global presence, map control, good lanes as well.
I'm a little surprised actually that MVP banned out the
DP?
The DP, yeah. You've seen in the last couple of games, it hasn't had the best win rate. It is something that is incredibly
It's
cooldown.
strong though, don't you think? Like it's something
It
that...
is strong, but it's also incredibly cooldown dependent.
Yeah,
Whenever
but the lanes, he's very good in the lanes. Like we talk about in the panel, like laning phase is very important for MVP. And if they don't want to pick that hero, they don't want to give it away.
fair, but who do you think? Do you think OG really runs it that well or that successfully? I don't see.
No-tail plays it, right? If they pick DP.
Yeah, it would be a no-tail hero.
It's decent against bounty hunter roam since you can heal.
But it's still like a hero that might get ganked because you're not a queen or puck against BH. But
I feel like it's a hero that MVP could really exploit, so I'm surprised that they banned
yeah,
it.
they could have definitely picked it for themselves with the BH. We've seen so many DP plus Earth Spirits being so effective. DP plus Bounty could do the same thing.
Could just be another mid hero they prioritize heavier, like Invoker. They do get the first pick out of the second ban round.
Well, and as you say that, Invoker in the crowd.
So last ban here. OG can still go so many different ways. They could Beastmaster jungle if they really want to.
Yo, I like
they
the
have
Lycan.
defensive
Yeah, I
support.
like that a
I
lot.
like the Lycan ban. Because they have Beastmaster and Liquid have shown Beastmaster plus Lycan is
Yeah, and I was going to say
crazy good.
exactly what MVP wanted to do to Liquid in the upper bracket
Yeah.
in the previous round.
Those are the two most scary heroes together, I think, with the bench.
Okay, the Invoker's gone.
So what Q is gonna play? Is he gonna? He might actually take the Jug mid this game if he doesn't have any other good options for his team.
Alright, well it's a very standard Witch Doctor pick here. Great against the IO, great against the Beastmaster, heroes with summons, and
Yep, good against, good in the lane. So they're solidifying their laning phase right now. They're very good lanes, and we'll see what OG goes for.
How do you feel about Witch Doctor skill build? I know Soxa has been doing a lot of Maledict lately. I feel like it's one of those things that has some good value.
Depends on your
It depends on your lane.
off lane. It depends on what is on the off lane. I think if it's against a tight hunter, you would always want a
Maledict,
because he can't crack and shout it. And
But if you can
maybe
zone-
against Prophet, you want the heal.
Yeah, if you can zone out an offlaner without Maledict, then you
Yeah.
you don't need it. It's really just about, hey, am I alone? Is cask and stats
Now, do I
enough?
need the Maledict to get
Right.
the kill? Like,
Right. If not, then it's not really value.
It's definitely a good heal game anyways. 2 AoE heals, no?
Yeah, I'm thinking what actually might OG go here because they have so many options. Their job is really open with the IO and Beastmaster. They can go for a push, they can go for a split as well. Map control game. There's a lot of ways they can play, and obviously we mentioned the Huskar earlier, which could be good with the Oracle plus IO, like 2 defensive supports.
I like the synergy a lot here in OG's opening 2 picks. You have the roar into relocate combo as well.
They need damage right now, basically with the raw.
You're talking earlier about heroes that haven't been picked yet. MVP Phoenix in the last 3 months have had 6 OD picks.
That hero is too weak now.
I think it's
don't
way
know.
too slow
Yeah,
for their
he's too
playstyle.
slow.
For the way they're playing it this event.
Yeah.
No, that hero was very strong in the laning phase before. Now with the nerfs, not so much anymore. So I think that it's very unlikely we might see the hero. Maybe if it gets a little help next time. But
Well, we
Nudge,
have
nudge.
2 defensive
yeah.
supports.
Well, we might see the Huskar. Like,
They can A. Well, I can't because they pick Witch Doctor.
yeah, they have Witch Doctor and PH. So they need a lot of heroes that can deal, like maybe get a Silver Edge or a lot of physical damage. It's always at the back of your mind when you look at the IO and Dazzle. Oh, crap, they might actually go for a Huskar here. I mean, they can still like pick something else like a PR because PR is really good with Dazzle. That's why it's so stressful when you're playing against OG. There's so many
Yeah.
cheese picks that you have to worry about.
They're good at cheesing and they're good at regular stuff, so it's an extra scare factor.
Yeah, you just need to keep it in your mind that you have a draft and you remember those things that OG might do.
I mean, on the bright side, they've got a lot of really good physical damage, but against Grave and Relocate,
Maybe the Axe pick here against Dazzle might be
oh,
good.
that's a good idea.
Ooh.
I really
And
like
they
that.
have played
It
it
is
as
really
well.
good.
Yeah, they
it's
have played that.
one of their heroes.
Good call.
So that's the Axe, and for OG, there goes the cam again.
What is that, the kiss cam?
Is that the kiss cam?
I'm not sure that was.
That was the broken.
Oh, this is the kiss cam.
Alright.
We're still searching for our first, by the way. Still haven't had one of those. Sad
Why-
times. If we don't have one by the final,
Why are
Charlie,
you
it's
looking
me and
at
you.
me?
It's me and you, buddy.
Charlie, you want to be on Reddit? It'd be really easy.
I feel like between all of us, we're on Reddit enough, guys.
Far too much.
So very standard pick, DK. So they have a lot of sustain, push with Beastmaster and Dragon Knight. So it's still possible that OG goes for a last pick that can scale very well into the late game. And these 4 heroes
Crazy
alone,
pick.
crazy picks. Maybe.
I mean, can Miracle play a maybe level Dragon Knight? In which case he can scale.
Doesn't No-Tail mostly play the hero? Or-
They've
I think you're right.
both played it. They've
Okay.
both played it, and I think in this case, with them trying to give No-Tail more of the farm priority, I think this will be a Miracle Dragon Knight.
I see. Okay. I mean, it's still open, like I said. Like
Yeah.
MVP's lineup right now. The Jug might be mid. The Jug can be safe lane. So everything is still open. Both teams' last pick is very open.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
Jug mid would be so good against Dragon Knight.
Well, there are
Yeah.
a lot of things good against mid Dragon Knight. That's the problem with the hero, right?
Magic
Yeah.
damage is maybe the best, especially with Bounty Hunter on top of that.
Raindrops, that's why you get the raindrops.
Does that work against
Well,
Spin? I feel like
might
it
we
doesn't.
see a meet? They ban Timbersaw. We
Yeah.
might see a meatball actually. Because if these 4 heroes are not actually that great, I mean they're okay, but I don't know.
Well, they couldn't ban both Asuka and
Yeah.
Lamivo, so
It's okay. It's not. I
but
don't
it's
like it
not
versus
last
Axe
pick,
Witch
like
Doctor, but
yeah, it's not last pick, so you're not that confident if you want to pick the hero. If it's the last pick, maybe you're more likely to go for it. PR would be maybe I don't know. PR doesn't seem.
I mean, their second core has to combo well with IO. You can't just do IO with one
So
core,
Bristleback?
especially
You're
during.
talking
Well,
about Bristleback?
We've seen OG run
Like
IO
Whistle.
combinations that are a little untraditional.
Okay.
So that's
well,
a
we saw
miracle
this
hero.
earlier on in
Okay.
the tournament. Vichy Gaming, Reborn, played a game 1. They lost that game very
Yeah.
heavily.
Yeah, Morphling's pretty good versus those heroes. They don't
Yeah.
have that many lockdowns, so you can always morph.
It's good against Axe. It's good against Juggernaut. You can wait for him out of Omni Slash. You can morph,
You can replicate the
Rep-
DK as well, so
or the
when you're
Axe
pushing.
as
Yeah,
well.
Replicate is real good against all of MVP's cores so far.
So 4F is playing the Axe. Juggernaut, I'm still not sure who's gonna play it.
My worry though is that Morphling takes so long to get online.
Yeah, but they do have 4 other heroes that can actually buy time for him to get online. So it depends on how, like you mentioned, how the early game goes.
Right, it depends on how the lanes go. And if MVP is able to get off to a good start here, I worry about OG's ability to take farts.
I still don't see them having a really good morphling solution in the mid game though. As long as he presses morph before he gets disabled.
Maybe you just don't need to deal with the Morphling. Maybe you just win before Morphling comes online.
With
I
what?
think that's what MVP are going to be looking for.
Oh,
here,
this
isn't
is
it, with
this
the
is like the MVP type of
Okay.
heroes. Like they run at you and they just, you know,
QL member.
try and just run you down, kill you repeatedly with the bounty on the track.
Okay, Charlie, who's had the better draft?
I've never been a fan of Morphling in this meta. I'm going with MVP Phoenix.
Oh, this is tough, but MVP.
I think if they didn't have Dazzle, I would be cool with OG's draft, so I'll say MVP. Dazzle versus
Okay,
Axe.
alright, they're not completely convinced here on the panel of the draft, but we are convinced that we're in for one hell of a game. Enjoy it with your commentary team.
7K China greater than 8K Europe. Those were the fighting words of Febby shortly before we started this match. I think Febby's forgetting something very important though. Miracle does have 9K. Ben, where are your bets really lying on this one?
I like OG here. I think the Wisp Morph is gonna be much better than the Morph we saw earlier today.
Well, what about the Morphling? I mean, Charlie was pretty skeptical of it, so was a lot of the panel.
I think it's really good. Axe is almost never gonna call him. Let's get in the game.
All right, on the way. OG versus MVP Phoenix. As you can hear the crowd backing both of these teams quite heavily. OG have a slight edge, I believe, when it comes to the home crowd advantage at least. We could already see as our OG players head out to lane. Everyone's quite excited to see what this matchup is really going to turn into. It should be a lot of action both and forth. Both of these teams really known for being quite aggressive and trying to establish some early dominance, more so in the MVP camp. They did start out with those two rather defensive supports in Bounty Hunter and Witch Doctor. What are your thoughts on those two heroes not quite being as active as perhaps MVP are used to?
I think it's okay when you have a Morphling. Morphling doesn't need 2 items to fight when you have a Wisp behind them. And on top of that, you have the Replicate. Replicating an Axe is team fight winning with the counter helix doing full damage out from the illusion, and they don't have a Hex, they don't have a Lion to take it down. And
well, OG already off to a good start. Obviously, the counter ward being laid down. Looks like MVP Phoenix going to swarm over that top rune. Bounty is going to be traded off. No contest here. Our Bounty Hunter is obviously going to be the one to watch when it comes to the first 5 minutes of this laning phase. MVP's Febby has been known for excellent roaming on the Bounty Hunter. Very, very disruptive hero. And a player that really seems to fit his playstyle as well. He's going to start out in mid, but we already see the way OG are going to counter this. They have a counter ward already laid down on the hard right side, and they've got Dazzle sitting behind No Tail now.
Looks like both teams will probably have a hero dedicated to jungle / stacking. We see 4Ev not even bothering with dealing with the Wisp in the Morph.
The top lane looks like Moon may actually be a little bit caught out here. It's going to take a lot of damage from the spin. Doubt they're going to go for the full-on dive. Just bring him low enough that he's scared to come forward. Trying to put some pressure on the Beastmaster. One of the heroes that seems to be the most problematic in the tournament, as a Beastmaster seems to always be able to get decent off-lane farm and even better jungle farm at times.
And their heroes definitely scream aggression. Even the item build coming out from Juggernaut. Boots first on MP to try and get that first kill.
Febby still maintaining his place here in the mid lane after he managed to take away the enemy's counter ward. They're going to get some damage onto QO though. And the boar actually rotating across as well for just that extra hit. QO still up in CS a decent amount. Meanwhile, the Axe, this is something that OG do really need to be concerned about. The fact that they have these two defensive supports for Rev. We've already seen the power of this Iron Talon first Axe and the way you're able to use Battle Hunger to stack up. This is an Axe that manages to get level 6 by like 5 minutes sometimes.
That's going to be really devastating once that first smoke comes out. I don't know who he really kills though. It's pretty difficult to jump to DK. I suppose not so much when you have the Ember Spirit.
Moon Meander has completely abandoned his offlane now. Something that he's moaned quite a lot about is the Iron Talon gaming that's currently happening in the offlane, and it seems like he wanted to try and make it work in the offlane, but unfortunately is going to be forced back to the jungle with only that Quelling Blade for now. Jump in on mid lane. They're going to get some more damage on a QO. Back to tier 1 tower he goes. Dwindling in CS now 6-0 compared to the 12-4 on No Tail. Fly really making sure No Tail has the best start possible. Febi's going to show up again. Just does a little bit of harassment damage onto Fly, but again, this lane matchup is always going to go to the favor of OG, it seems.
Two melee heroes cannot deal with the Shadow Wave. If they get too aggressive, they can just eat a full heal bomb if they're close to the creeps, and there's not really a way around that.
Do you think the trade-off is worth it for MVP Phoenix, the fact that they're going to have a faster jungler in the Axe for now, but will have a slowed down QO Ember Spirit in mid?
As long as they pick up track kills, it's fine. And they're getting okay levels on Bounty Hunter. Ideally, though, you don't want to split the experience with QO. You want someone down there to soak up XP. And 4Ev noticing that there's a lot of range creeps in that bottom lane. We'll come back. Yeah,
time to pick up all that experience. No need to let the creep wave go into the tier 1 tower and get a lot of free damage as well. Meanwhile, Febi's actually going to be interrupting Moon as he's full-time jungling. This is why Moon didn't want to start off in the jungle in the first place. Knew that Febi was going to kind of be there right next to him, sharing half that experience and being a rather harassive force.
Didn't Miracle play Morphling versus that one time? ROTK had that Chronosphere. That stat just popped up that he hadn't played any Morph, but I was pretty sure that he had.
You could be right.
Bad stats meant Ben. That's my nickname for Nox. We love you, Nox.
QO trying to get that 4-minute rune, but Fly already in position. The bottom rune's going to be taken away by
chicken
the
snipe by
Wisp as
Febi.
well. Trying to pick it up. Crit is going to fight for Rev board. He managed to get the Arcane rune, but is low enough that he can't actually fight Crit too much more. The important thing is they're denying QO this bottle, so he's not going to be able to get that free refill. He's probably going to have to go for a fairy now on the courier.
And Febi went for the chicken snipe, didn't get it. He only got one hit on it, and then it flew over the cliff and decided to suicide in the Radiant large camp.
All in all, it seems like OG's static laning phase seems to be going pretty well. MP, I like the way that MVP Phoenix already trying to put pressure in that top lane, taking away that tier 1 tower as fast as possible. And if OG want to be able to contest that, it means they have to bring Moon out of the jungle and up to the offlane once again.
Io's getting a lot of levels. He is very vulnerable to like Ember and Bounty Hunter jumping him, but he is level 4.5 right now and getting a lot of stacks and gold in the process. So if he's difficult to take down, Morphling can go ham in these fights.
We're going to have just a lot of really big sustain from OG between the Dragonite, the Beastmaster, and the Morphling. Rather tanky cores across the board. And then you have these two ultra defensive supports in both the Wisp as well as the Dazzle. It's going to be a hard way for MVP Phoenix to actually cut through these heroes when it comes to team fights.
If one hero falls, though, with Cole, I think everyone else is going to fall. And Grave is not particularly great.
Yeah, that's true. Forev, obviously, with the big counter. They are going to pop the ultimate here. No Tail trying to go for QL, but it's now going to be surrounded by 3 heroes. That fourth comes in as Dubu's going to throw out the paralyzing cast, but here comes those 2 defensive supports. Forev, he does have that level 6, so even if they manage to get off the Shallow Grave, it's not going to matter, but the Culling Blade, it's just not quite enough. Now they throw out the Shallow Grave, and damn, I bet Forev misses that Culling Blade now as QO needs to be healed up by Dubu. Runs out of mana, though, and QO may just get run down, kicked to death by Moon, barely able to stay out. Meanwhile, MP gets his spin on the fly, knows he's dead, and just accepts his fate. Finally, the kill being picked up by Crit for first blood, but Witch Doctor manages to secure the counter onto Dazzle.
Yeah, MVP not really on the same page there. We had the Axe run back when Ember Spirit was about to get that Searing Chains and put him in that critical HP threshold.
And then that increased movement speed might have made all the big difference for MVP Phoenix in the continuing fight.
Well, that was 4 on 5. Morphling still farming peacefully in that bottom lane.
Miracle's going to be a pretty happy camper. Is this game, item build-wise, where do you really see the Morphling? How quickly does he have to be a part of these team fights for OG?
You don't really need that many items when you have a Wisp behind you, because you can just sit very low HP, like 500, 600 area with a lot of agility, and you get a lot of attack speed from the IO, and you can just straight right-click people down.
Always an excuse with Ben. He says that Miracle game was on a Smurf account, apparently.
I remember that. One of ROTK's many missed Chronospheres.
Merlini always keeping track of ROTK's failures. 1-1, pretty slow static laning phase so far, even though we saw that action in mid. Both teams backing out to their safe lanes and continue to farm away.
Yesterday I was talking to one of the Chinese casters. They called Swindle the American ROTK.
Oh, I bet you enjoyed that one quite a bit, didn't you?
Yeah, we need Jack to tell us the gossip on the Chinese scene.
Still trying to do this sort of dual lane scenario against QO. Probably the most explosive player. Oh, and Forev in some serious trouble. Miracle doesn't have a waveform for another 3 more seconds. It looks like Forev does have the movement speed to get out. The Battle Hunger keeping Miracle slowed down just enough that he can catch him with a second waveform. Meanwhile, QO is playing a rather dangerous game. He's going to come forward, tries to go on fly. He's low enough, another right click, almost finished them off, but they still managed to get the kill on the Dazzle. The Boars, though, get the kill for Moon instead. Not worth the trade-off. As MVP Phoenix, QO is perhaps just a little bit frustrated with the laning phase and how he's being shut out by OG.
It's really difficult for these melee heroes to go onto the Dazzle. He got QO so low due to the level 2 healing wave on the Dazzle. They have the summons, some for the Beast
to the
Master.
top lane. Forev is going to be able to keep him slowed down with the Battle Hunger, but it looks like No Tail turns around, managed to get the stun. MP going to try and pursue still, but we have the Dazzle right behind him, and Juggernaut out of mana for the Omni Slash.
And Crit is just 1 stack away from getting level 6, and as soon as Miracle joins these fights, I think MVP's in a lot of trouble. Track maybe like 3 or 4 minutes out from being skilled on Bounty Hunter. He's level 4.5, just got scouted with the Sentry Ward in between the T1 and the T2.
Febby is going to sit on top of Moon. Moon obviously does know about Febby's rotation, so this shouldn't really be a problem for him. It just seems like OG have really managed to create a strategy that slows down the game so much that MVP Phoenix aren't able to use their signature aggression to get the normal laning phase lead that they want.
And I think OG realized that it's very difficult to beat MVP at that sort of game.
A tier 1 tower is finally going to go down in the bottom lane. Miracle picks that one up, speeding up his what I can only presume is the Lincolns required this game. You've got Omni Slash, maybe Paralyzing Cast. Oh, jump on mid. QO gonna die again as Moon Meander manages to make the initiation there alongside No Tail. And the relocate is just easy follow-up. Now they've got 3 different heroes, all cores here ready to beat down that tier 1 tower, and MVP Phoenix not in a position to defend really. Looks like they're still gonna try and collide here, but QO is still another 12 seconds out.
And Miracle hits really hard right now. 119 damage, combine that with Inner Beast and Overcharge.
Bevy trying to get the deny. Meanwhile, MVP Phoenix coming in from the side. They're going to go and start going on Crit, but Miracle is going to challenge Dubu here. The right click for almost enough to finish him off, but he managed to get a Fairy Fire. Meanwhile, Crit, a heal actually managed to stop the Culling Blade, and again, that movement speed might be critical as MVP Phoenix are not able to get themselves, extricate themselves out of that team fight. That'll be Axe going down first. The Witch Doctor almost cleaned up. Bevy almost going down as well as the Flame Breath. Almost finishes him off there. QO not being there for the fight, obviously, because he was dead, but MVP Phoenix still trying to force that one. Seems like a bit of an error on their part as OG proved to be just a bit too strong.
They really need some sort of jump, either QO being farmed, maybe Axe getting a Blink Dagger, but MVP, they seem a little bit lost without the skirmish advantage. OG have the mobility advantage with the IO. They have the vision advantage with the Beastmaster, and he's just not able to search for the fights that they're looking for. You still need track. It's coming out soon on Bevy.
It's rapidly going to get all the more dangerous if No Tail can finish up his armlet, and we're actually going to see a rather fast Necronomicon thanks to these fights going the way of OG on the Beastmaster as well, and obviously Miracle is always going to be a problem, as his tankiness as the Morphling is going to be hard for MVP Phoenix to cut through.
He is way ahead of Juggernaut right now, 1,000, and that was just a pure free farming morph in the bottom lane, uncontested.
They're going to get another tier 1 tower to make that lead even larger, as OG can rather easily still rotate to bottom lane and defend as QO tries to go for the push.
So they need more items on QO. They also need to be wary of the Beastmaster smoke ganks and to relocate. He is their best setup. Dragon Knight is far too clunky of a hero to set up for relocate ganks until he has Shadow Blade or Blink, which is often eschewed for the armlet like we've seen most games.
Right. That was supposed to be the bit of an advantage that MVP Phoenix were going to have, right? Between QO being this easy jumping hero and the Axe supposed to be picking up a relatively fast Blink Dagger. There should have been a time period around 15, 18 minutes where MVP Phoenix would have been the ones determining the starts of all the fights because their initiation. But now with this early farm, it seems like OG may actually be able to get their initiating items on a relatively quick pace. MVP Phoenix, smart though, they're going to be able to spot out crit, will be able to get their first track kill of the game rather easily. Turn back towards Miracle, who's already got a replicate out, so he can jump over to that one. The call is going to lead the way, though. They are going to get a lot of damage onto Miracle. He's ready to jump out in a second and should be able to escape. Meanwhile, the rest of OG using that time where MVP Phoenix were trying to go on Miracle to push down the tier 2 at top lane.
And Miracle doesn't have any items right now, but he is nigh impossible for MVP to kill. Track move speed simply not going to be enough, just lacking any sort of damage. I think they only got like 500 damage on him at that point, and he salved up, he's back to full HP.
And OG going to keep going, forcing the TPs out from MVP Phoenix. QO's going to be the first one, actually gets burned out of mana there from the Necronomicon, and can't continue to fight even as the rest of his allies start coming in. And P just takes a consolation prize in the little Necronomicon warrior. But
and a Vanguard, he's really committing to the fighting build. He's going to fall way behind Morphling with this build, I think.
Yeah, he really is, especially since, I mean, it's 13.5 minutes. We've only seen 9 kills so far. Unless somehow MVP Phoenix managed to force OG to fight a lot, it seems like OG can read these item builds and just go, that's fine. We could just draw out the game, slow it down, split push to our heart's content, and stay away from MVP Phoenix and naturally get a farm advantage from that.
MVP's getting close to that point, though. Just 150 gold until BOT is on Ember Spirit. Just a couple hundred gold until Axe gets his Blink Dagger, and that might be the word go.
MVP Phoenix are going to need to get a lot done during that small window of time, though, as OG racking up even their lower cores, like the Beastmaster and Dragon Knight, are about to contest the Juggernaut. They're going to jump here on a replicate, blowing everything they had. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, actually centering up, here comes the relocate. They're going to jump on an MP. They manage to get the Primal Roar. The spin, not enough, as Jesus. That Shadow Wave from Fly manages to help OG burst down the Juggernaut so quickly.
And an invisible No-Tail set that kill up, and the siege continues.
MVP Phoenix, particularly with one hero down and a Bounty Hunter on their side, have nothing to be able to defend against these tower pushes when there's 4 or 5 heroes grouped up together like this.
And maybe 2 defensive supports is the key to slowing down MVP's pace.
MVP Phoenix, knowing they can't really do much at this point, continued to try and farm up on QO as he pushed out the bottom lane. Does have those boots of travel ready to go, but it's not going to be enough by itself, that's certainly for sure.
And that should be the Blink Dagger reveal. Axe is farming mid, and
yeah,
OG will definitely know that he has it.
Even Rev is going to be quite squishy as he doesn't have a Vanguard himself, obviously needing to speed up that initiating item. Couldn't go for the Vanguard or anything like that, so even if he does manage to get the right kind of jump, he may still get bursted down relatively quickly.
And a very early gem pickup coming out from Crit.
I like this. OG have a very clear advantage, and they'll just be able to build on it if they can keep this gem in their hands. Meanwhile, MVP Phoenix need to be able to go for this smoke up, but
it was scouted out by the Hawk.
Yeah, the pings already came out, and the Hawk scouted that one away. Looks like they're going to go for yet another replicate bait here. As they move the Replicate into the river, MVP Phoenix scouting it here.
And that is a farm
jump on Forev.
Beastmaster. Beastmaster.
Oh, Miracle himself actually jumps over to it, trying to pick up the battery, but this could be perfect. Miracle almost gets bursted down immediately, starts morphing strength though, and now the rest of OG able to surround their carry and push back against MVP Phoenix, getting the initiation, and now the push uphill. Perez stuck on the cliff is going to try and make his way back down. Blinkston manages to get the call, but just can't get the damage done as the rest of his team is being pushed back by No-Tail. Now Forev is going to get stunned up by Miracle, rather large stun at that. QO gets the chains, creates the space for Forev to be able to get the blink out, and MVP Phoenix should be able to escape with no further losses, but considering that was a smoke gank that turned awry, losing the bounty hunter, it's not a good sign for MVP Phoenix.
They committed an Omni Slash, they committed a Death Ward, and he still had 1,000 HP, and that was before like a heal came out from Dazzle, and IO came in to rescue him from that gank.
Part of it is that the Witch Doctor, Dubu actually choosing not to go for any levels of Maledict, and this is one of the abilities that the Witch Doctor is supposed to have to help cut through these tankier heroes like the Morphling, but he got the early Voodoo Restoration, which we saw was actually rather necessary, but because MVP Phoenix weren't winning fights, he has had no level progression since.
And there's no way they can stop him from morphing.
Yep. They need some way to be able to burst him down a bit faster, but that's just not going to happen with the Lincoln's complete on Miracle, and now we can start moving forward.
Febby runs into Moon. Moon just kind of like, oh, hey there.
All right. Febby keeps on trucking. Runs hard left here and looks for the TP out. Is he going to make it out? Moon, Primal Roar, ready to go. Oh, almost. Must not have been paying attention to his screen, as that gem should have given him the free kill. MVP Phoenix at least know about this gem pickup now and will play accordingly.
Ooh, a very dangerous pickup from Dragon Knight with a blink. You can get that instant stun onto Ember Spirit, onto Juggernaut before he can spin, and a couple of dead heroes. And it's also a really good setup for the relocate from Crit.
OG, they can definitely continue to play defensive if they want, but they're actually going to go for what is essentially a 5-man smoke. They've got the replicate of the Morphling joining them in this smoke while Morphling himself pushes out bottom. This allows OG to perhaps get the surprise jump on MVP Phoenix. There it is, the Blink Dagger reveal onto QO. Follow-up Primal Roar to make sure there's no hope of QO being able to get out. And OG, now with their positioning, will push high ground and challenge MVP Phoenix to defend.
And where's their anti-push?
Absolutely
jump
nothing
in on this.
He's supposed to jump into a Morphling and a Dragon Knight who are tanky as hell and get burned away by the Necronomicon. He doesn't really have a hope of cutting through those heroes, and he's just going to end up losing a lot of HP and mana in the process.
And now Ember Spirit has to feel very worried.
Oh, they managed to get a call on No-Tail, pulling him back into the Tier 3 area, but there are no disables whatsoever to keep him in that position, and Miracle's just gonna right-click that Tier 3 down with his agility morph.
And there's very little spam from them. They can't clear the creep wave at all, and they can't get Dragon Knight low to the point where he's forced to retreat. They just kind of took a T3 for free. Maybe once Ember Spirit gets Battle Fury, they can start doing some damage. Maybe once Witch Doctor gets those points of Maledicts that you were talking about. But as of right now, MVP just far too weak.
We were talking about this actually in the drafting phase, whether or not we liked Bounty Hunter in the first one too, and my argument was that MVP Phoenix is one of the few teams that can actually make the Bounty Hunter 1-2 pickup work for them, because they always find a way to make their aggression work in the first 20 minutes, but that apparently is completely wrong, as OG have developed this exact game plan in mind to be able to deal with MVP's run-at-you style.
And OG kind of postured for an aggressive smoke. There was a scan, as well as a Hawk that scouted out the Axe, but the way they were around the Ancients, just all sitting up on the high ground, daring MVP to challenge them.
That's not going to happen in MVP Phoenix. Unfortunately, they don't even have good Roche-taking potential, and that would be the other objective that MVP Phoenix on Dire side like this would naturally fall back to if a smoke doesn't work, but not the case here.
And still, where's their damage coming from? MP with just a Claymore to aid in his damage output. Axe forced to go to initiation item, the Blink Dagger. No Blade Mail, not that it'd be particularly useful versus OG's lineup. No signs of a Scepter coming out from Witch Doctor. And barring 2 or 3 track kills in the next couple of fights, It's going to be very difficult.
Could be a decent pickup, but unfortunately, they don't quite get it. They have the vision from Febby. Are actually going to be able to slow down these two heroes, maybe long enough for the Axe to be able to jump in, but not fast enough as Febby does get bursted down. The Axe still not here, and is not going to be able to get there in time to be able to get the Culling Blade. No Tail gets stalled up a little bit more. MP is going to join the fight, actually. They do have the relocate forward. They're just looking to be able to pop this Dragon Knight. Finally, they will bring him down with that pop, but no, it's now going to be the Witch Doctor who goes down. They turn towards taking it. Crit, 3 more seconds, but not fast enough. The Culling Blade takes him out. Now MVP Phoenix on full retreat, at least attempting to, but Fared's going to get caught. And MP, who's spun away, who's now trying to keep that healing ward to somehow run himself all the way back to the tier 2, but it's just not going to happen. Not even tier 2's up. He's got to make it all the way to tier 3. QO providing interference. Looks like the chains was just enough to slow down the pursuit of OG, and that was actually a pretty damn good trade-off there for MVP Phoenix, considering how far behind they are. A 2-for-2 trade-off is maybe more than they even expected to get.
Yeah, OG did not have their numbers there. That's not really where they were expecting a fight to be taken from MVP. Still, they're feeling very comfortable. Didn't lose a gem. If they lose a gem, then they might feel like they're in a little bit of trouble. But up until that point, Febby can't really roam around the map, can't provide any intel, and if he dies first in a fight, they don't get any track kills.
Back to the Battle Fury for the Juggernaut. Feels like MVP Phoenix now have to start thinking about farming and split pushing and trying to push this game later, even though that's not what this lineup is really intended to be about. Unfortunately, their laning phase didn't work for them, and they have to try and look at plan B and C.
Yeah. Is there a plan C? I think plan A was get track kills. Plan B is let's just get Battle Furies and farm up and stall until we can win team fights through sheer damage output. However, OG smoke under their T1 tower.
Those boars getting a lot of information right now on MVP Phoenix's positioning. They are going to back up to their tier 3 tower, feeling rather unsafe, as that bottom lane pushing out so far is probably a little bit of a warning signal to MVP Phoenix. They may still get caught here, though. As a jump in, Dragon Tail leading the way. They managed to get the call counter, but still, Miracle's going to be able to pop QO nonetheless. And Farev, again, just not tanky enough to be able to survive the onslaught of 5 different heroes. And now OG, they go straight for the throat, trying to take out the melee racks before the 25-minute marker. And they will take it indeed. MVP Phoenix not able to provide a response just yet. They're trying to slow this push down as best as they can. The Necronomicons, OG playing this very disciplined, very safe. Even though there's still no QO for MVP Phoenix.
You say that and there's a 5 strength Morphling.
Are they gonna go back in? Maybe they were perhaps a little bit afraid of a buyback there. The Ember Spirit, they know they're well in control of this game and don't want to do anything that puts that at risk.
Yeah, they can just take out Roche. Morphling just does incredible amounts of right-click damage. They're struggling to build damage, but by the time they complete damage items, they'll need defensive items to deal with the Morphling right-click. And there's no way they can lock him down in fights. They have the Manta style, even if they lock down his main hero, he'll still output a lot of damage with those illusions. And replicate on either Axe or Juggernaut will still be pretty huge.
MVP Phoenix, no, they can't just farm away. They need to get aggressive and see if they can actually get a track kill. And if they win a fight like this, they can actually turn it into a fast Roshan. But
Scan just came up for Radiant, but
MVP
already suspecting
Phoenix,
what's happening.
They're going a long way around here. And this may actually catch OG off guard all the way behind the tier 2, perhaps. They back away, and QO gives up all chase. He's going to head out to bottom lane. And Miracle reveals that the Ember Spirit was just here, leaving a remnant behind.
And I don't think that ward's gonna last long. Very
Certainly
common
not.
move. Smoke into the opponent jungle, try and ward it up and get a pick later.
Moon. Quick Iron Talon takes that vision away from MVP Phoenix, and they're left with nothing on the map now.
And then a hawk into the pit to even address that potential issue.
Yeah, just in case, as OG retreated, somehow MVP Phoenix did manage to make their way into the pit. That knowledge is secured for OG, and again, just sitting back, playing the farming game. Miracle farming up Ancient. They've got Hero pushing mid as well as top. Even at this moment, when they know that the smoke has been defeated, they just managed to counter the vision. Even at this moment, OG are still playing rather defensively around each other, grouped up. No one's farming the bottom lane because they still don't know where MVP Phoenix is.
And MVP don't really have their farming items yet. Ember just got his Battle Fury, so it's not like he's going to get out of control anytime soon. Juggernaut just completed his.
He spots MP, immediately backs himself away, expecting the rest of the team to be behind him. He does have the relocate save from Crate ready to go, but MVP Phoenix, they played enough Wisp games in their lives. They know always to look for the Wisp first. Shuriken and Track not going to last long, as Miracle already has completed Manta and uses it to get the track off of him and start split pushing that top lane without any danger to himself.
So what's MVP's plan of attack next? If they don't have any smoke, so I don't really see how they can get the jump on OG, but OG are still out farming them this gold lead. Steady increase in green, 12,000 for OG.
It almost feels like if you're out of smokes, MVP Phoenix may have to consider buying a gem of their own. Now, we know right now that vision isn't actually a problem, as OG don't have any aggressive wards up, but if they did, there was just no opportunity for MVP Phoenix to actually ever force a fight like they want to.
They don't have any gold to play around with.
Yeah.
Which normally isn't an issue for Bounty Hunter.
There's the blade mail for the axe. That's a little something, I guess, against the Morphling, but again, as you said earlier, nothing to stop the morph itself.
And he still does a lot of damage when you have defensive items, because he still has a lot of stats, as opposed to Juggernaut. If you build a Vanguard, it does not help your damage output at all. And Morphling, if you build a lot of strength, you can just morph all that into agility and still hit really hard. He's hitting for 250 with Inner Beast and Weave.
Getting some damage on the top tier 2. Doesn't matter to OG. They'll give that up if necessary and continue to push out the bottom lane. They'll probably take this tier 2, and they can even go high ground once again, trying to force MVP Phoenix back to the base. We're gonna go for a TP. Actually, No-Tail's gonna see if he can catch QO with the top lane. He's TP to the tier 3. Gonna make the jump, manages to get the Dragon Tail. Is there going to be a relocate follow-up? Doesn't look like it. Not just yet, anyway. They're gonna continue to try and fight this one out with No-Tail, but they know there could be reinforcements at any time, so they don't challenge that one off from OG. And a tier 2 for tier 2 is all she wrote.
Morphling closing in on that Eye of Scotty. It's going to be very problematic for Juggernaut. Even with the Vanguard, he's not going to be able to run away with that spin.
And he's certainly not going to be able to cut through the Morphling with his Omni Slash, with this big increase in stats to Miracle as well.
Dubu trying to get one last cast off probably in this left lane. But
he's got to put some pressure on the lanes, right? Nobody else can really do it. Like, if he gets caught in that sort of position, okay, it's a Witch Doctor. He doesn't really have much net worth anyway. He's just throwing all of it into wards. So if he can at least keep one hero of OG back, like he just did with Moon Meander, this does give MVP Phoenix a hope of maybe pushing forward, see if they can get a numbers advantage for a team fight, or even just drawing the game out.
Oof, QO narrowly dodges a gank there.
18,000 net worth on Miracle. He is 5k, over 5k net worth ahead of the Juggernaut. Goes to show what a beast he's been. Never dying, always split pushing away. They just never addressed him in the laning phase, and he's become a persistent problem ever since.
Looks like the smokes have finally cooled down for MVP. Desperate maybe to make a play around the Roche, which OG is starting at this very moment.
This is probably their best opportunity in the next 5 to 10 minutes for MVP Phoenix to try and get a fight that's to their advantage, but unless they go right now, they're not going to be fast enough. They're still sitting inside their base, and it seems like OG, thanks to all the information they have, will freely take an Aegis.
And they've lost all of their towers on the Roche. It's very difficult to contest this.
Yeah.
If Ember Spirit even tries to attempt a slight, he could get stunned, roared, blink Dragon Tail, anything that can just annihilate him.
The only ward they have up on MVP Phoenix is the 2 wards on the left-hand side of the map. Nothing even close to Roshan, so...
Moon's maybe thinking about a relocate setup.
If he can lead with that Primal Roar. We'll have a free pickoff on QO, but never mind that. OG can actually just keep on pushing. They don't even need Moon Meander here. Just Miracle and No Tail by themselves are rapidly chipping away at that tier 3 tower. MVP Phoenix, they're trying to set this fight up from behind right now with this smoke. It's going to cost them their tier 3 tower, but they do manage to get the initiation. Move's going to be the first one. Almost gets bursted down. Cooling Blade not going to be there in time, but they've already lost their Witch Doctor in return. Healing Ward also down, and MP has to retreat all the way back through Miracle. Is going to start slowing him down with that Scotty. Now buybacks coming out from MVP Phoenix. Witch Doctor is going to be one, and I imagine the Forev's going to be coming up next. Miracle jumps forward and takes the Witch Doctor out a second time. Sleight of Fist just not doing enough. Jump forward. No Tail not able to catch QO, but they've already taken the objective they needed. Forev pops the blade mail as he managed to get the call onto No Tail, but he's made tanky. And MP, he doesn't even come close to cutting through the dragon as Forev goes down to secondary time. And now MP going to be chased away by Miracle as there it is. MVP Phoenix. They probably knew it for the last 10 minutes, but this is very clearly GG in game 1.
Rampage denied.
Just an ultra kill for Miracle, but putting in some work with that Morphling, but it was all set up by the space created and just overall strategy of the laning phase by OG. They never let MVP Phoenix start that running ground.
And they had very difficult cores to kill. The Morphling on the bottom lane, the Dragonite in the mid lane. Beastmaster did suffer a tiny bit, but at the end of the day, they knew that MVP had to try and pressure them under the T1 towers, which was far too difficult with the Dazzle and the IO.